If you've been betrayed, you probably know the feeling. Your body tells you to pull away, to protect yourself, to make sure you're safe. And then if you're the one who broke the trust, you may feel that wave of shame that says, stay back, do not make this worse. You've already done enough damage. So then both of you end up feeling trapped, believing there's no way to calm things down together anymore. And that's when silence and the distance start to take over for the relationship. But here's the thing. What if that story isn't the whole truth? What if the very thing you think you can't have, which is the ability to actually feel calm together, is closer than you might realize?
If your relationship has been shattered by betrayal and you feel stuck and lost, you're in the right place.
This is From Crisis to Connection, a closer look at the process of how couples in crisis transform betrayal into healing, rejuvenating connection.
Every episode, we dissect the healing journey so you can understand what actually works and what you can do to thrive again.
You'll step onto a clear path toward personal wholeness and vibrant partnership.
We are your hosts, Geoff and Jody Steurer. In this episode, we're going to take a close look at what happens for both of you when emotions flare. If you're the betrayed partner, we'll talk about why distance feels like the only safe move and how that can leave you carrying more than you should. If you're the recovering partner, we'll get into the shame and powerlessness that show up when you feel like nothing you do will help. And then we'll put it all together to see what happens to the couple when both of you get stuck in that cycle. Because when you reach the point where pulling away feels unsafe and stepping in feels unsafe, the big question becomes, where do you go from here?
Okay, well, we have to talk about why distance for a betrayed partner makes complete sense in the first place.
Well, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so obvious.
Yeah. You perceive a threat and, yeah, you back away. I mean, that's pretty straightforward.
Right. And that works really well if you're dealing with an unknown assailant or an unknown threat.
Sure.
Right. But
easily accomplished.
But when it's the person who you've been connected to, that you've, basically given your life to, the person who is supposed to take care of you and have your back. And, it depends. Some people, they've been married for 5 years or 2 years or 30 years or 50 years. I've seen the whole range. Backing away instinctively makes sense, but then it's kind of like there's this almost like this rubber band attached to you, and it's like you can't fully go all the way away, and you start feeling that tension. And that's a very strange and difficult experience for anyone who's been betrayed by someone close to them. So that dilemma is just built into any type of betrayal trauma. And I think that's why betrayal trauma is so different than other types of traumas, because when it's a natural disaster or another person you don't know or a thing, you can walk away from it. You want to get away from it. Everything in you is like, yep, I'm done with that.
Yeah, and then you can really easily turn it off. So that desire to pull back, is that pretty across the board? I mean, are there some betrayed partners that have an instinct to do more fight than flight?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but in a way, like the fighting is in a way like pulling back.
Okay, you got to talk through that, because that doesn't track for me.
Yeah, both of them are basically protests for safety. Maybe is the best way to put it.
Okay.
Moving away, freezing, moving close, getting in there, fighting, even going along to get along, which we call fawning.
Yeah.
All of those are movements to basically try and find safety. And everybody's going to do it differently. But again, when you don't know the person that, or when it's an outside threat, most people just naturally get away from it. Like they just kind of want to move away from it. So when it's somebody that you're close to, you're trying to balance figuring out, well, we have a relationship, but they've hurt me. And so you might get aggressive, you might pull away, you might do all these other things, but it's all in the service of trying to find some way to feel safe, send a signal, protest, do something that says, I'm not okay with this or I'm hurting. But also at the same time trying to weirdly, right? It feels weird. It feels crazy, but it's not. But to try and sort of keep the relationship intact to a degree.
Then a partner likely feels like in that dance, she has all these natural inclinations toward betraying herself.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Say more about that.
She feels like she's not safe. She's not in a secure place, but yet she has these natural instincts to preserve the relationship, to look and in many cases value the relationship, at least equally, if not more. But the relationship is the threat. So she has to internally fight this desire to keep herself safe, but also keep the relationship safe.
Right.
And if she takes steps to keep the relationship safe, that might feel tricky to her, like it will not keep her safe.
Right.
That's a huge mind bender.
Right, because the reflex is that her safety will be in relationship. That's how every human is wired.
Yeah.
And so instinctively, there's this sense of, I can't lose this because there is safety there, even though in this current context with this person, it may not be the safest thing, at least right now. Not that that can't be healed or mended or grown down the road, but right now, the self-preservation and the safety for yourself really becomes the priority. So in this conversation today, in this episode, talking about what do you do with that tension? What do you do with, how do you create basically an ability to still use the relationship as a source of safety, even though unsafe things have happened? Is it even possible? Is it smart for the betrayed partner to even care about that right now? That becomes a huge dilemma for them. So I think the thing that I really want betrayed partners to know is however you protest for safety, whether it's through pulling away, which again, most people just sort of back up naturally like we talked about, or it's to do other things to try and figure out where you're safe, that's 100% natural and okay. And I think you're right as a betrayed partner to do. And it's critical. It's like life-saving. And at the same time, that you don't need to feel crazy for having that part of you wonder what's going on with your relationship. And even thinking about that and trying to hold space for that it's okay to do both. And that's the part that can feel crazy because it feels like one of them has to win over the other.
Well, are you saying that it doesn't?
I'm saying that personal safety should always take priority.
Yes.
For sure. I guess what I'm saying is that one of them has to replace the other, maybe is the best way to put it.
Okay.
That's I think what I'm trying to say. So I think one of them should be prioritized, which is definitely making sure you're going to be okay, because you can't count on this other person to necessarily take care of you because there's been a betrayal.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying you put yourself in their hands.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes what happens is that you feel like you have to choose one and abandon the other.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think I'm trying to.
Yeah. Choosing one doesn't necessarily abandon the other.
Yes.
But because of how she's wired, she will have to choose one and just let the other go. And maybe do that very deliberately, even though it will feel unnatural.
Right. And I think because like we've talked about on this podcast and so on, is that women in general oftentimes will abandon themselves for the relationship. And that's the danger.
Yeah.
That's the danger. So I think making space for prioritizing personal safety and honoring relational instincts is really the work of early betrayal trauma recovery for betrayed partners. And it's interesting because doing that and allowing yourself to prioritize that while honoring that actually helps you feel less crazy. That's been my experience. Because then it's not like the craziness comes from acting like that one isn't true. You shouldn't care or think about the relationship at all, or something's wrong with you, or you're codependent or whatever. That can feel crazy to sort of basically chop off or just sort of amputate this whole part of you that's really a healthy, normal human response. And likewise, the other extreme would be just to jump into relationship completely and ignore yourself. And then that feels just as crazy because you're going to just keep getting hurt more than likely. So that's the message for betrayed partners, I think, is to recognize that you can hold space for both, even though you're really leaning into the one more.
If you are the betrayed partner, your instinct to pull away makes complete sense. Distance is a survival response. Whether you fight, freeze, fawn, or back up, each of those moves is a way of searching for safety. And you're not crazy for also still caring about the relationship at the same time. That tug of war between wanting to protect yourself and wanting to preserve the bond is normal. The work is to prioritize your safety first while honoring that it is natural to still long for connection. You don't have to abandon either part of yourself.
I think for the recovering partner, one of the biggest challenges with this whole tension of closeness and distance, working with all that attachment energy, is that so many people that break trust believe automatically that, one, that their partner wants nothing to do with them, and that they just need to give them space and back away completely. Or that they've sort of lost the right to even be somebody that could be in relationship.
Oh.
So they'll either go into hiding or just avoid, or they don't want to talk about it because it's too painful. And so all that energy, all that attachment energy that's coming from the betrayed partner of like the protesting and the distancing and the closeness and all that mess, a lot of people that break trust it's like they just want to get away from that whole tornado, which ends up doing a lot more damage to the relationship, believe it or not.
So in their attempts to maybe back away, do they also frequently put pressure on the betrayed partner to just get back to how things used to be, or just act like it's normal?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because, as long as everything can just kind of stay chill, then I'm fine. It's fine. She's fine. We're all fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think both people are trying to get back to, I was in graduate school, we talked a lot about with family systems, how there's just a natural pull toward what they would call like homeostasis, like a thermostat. And so if the temperature gets too much, something kicks in, brings it back down. Too low, something kicks in, brings it back up. And so anytime that there's a crisis, I think part of that push and pull that we were talking about with the betrayed partner is trying to get back to something that feels safe and normal or familiar. And yes, that's absolutely happening on the other side as well, which is, usually just trying to not talk about it. It's super rare that I'll have somebody who's broken trust who really wants to dig into it.
Sure. That's interesting. So that's just kind of the go-to, is like, if we don't
nothing to
bring
see
it
here.
up. Yeah. Nothing to see here. Yeah.
Or if they do want to talk about it a lot, it's usually just about trying to talk their partner into dropping it.
Okay.
Or proving that it's not what they think, or that they're not a bad person, or it's usually a bunch of anxiety. So recovering partners, generally they're caught in the same attachment dilemma because, they admittedly have attachment needs too. It's not like they're needless and wantless. They want relationship, even though they've been acting in ways that betray the relationship. And this is a hard thing to say and a hard thing to hear for anybody who's been betrayed. So I'm very careful about how I want to say this. But it's less common that somebody who breaks relational trust like that did it because they didn't care about the relationship consciously.
Yeah.
It's usually their own stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Their own mismanaging their own emotions or their own attachment stuff or their own things. And it's just like the relationship just becomes a casualty in their tornado. They don't really they're not really prepared to be conscious enough or connected enough in a relationship. They don't oftentimes know how to do relationship in a healthy way. And the relationship becomes a casualty of that.
Well, and wouldn't you say in general that, I mean, because women by nature are more relational, they can't, in some ways, they can't not think about things in terms of the relationship.
Absolutely. Right.
And men are not like that. They're not wired to
Not
think of
reflexively.
things
No.
in terms of the relationship.
Right. So
it's like a natural mismatch where he does it and she's just like, how could that even cross your mind, or how could that happen? And he's operating in a whole different system.
That is so.
It's not making the relational connections.
That is so well said. Exactly. And then a lot of the times what happens is in that dynamic where everything, it's all about relationship for her. It's like, I am so betrayed by this. Like, why weren't you thinking of me? How come?
Yeah.
Where was I in all this?
Yeah.
Right. And he's over there, waking up to the reality of the damage in the relationship and the person he's hurt. And it's oftentimes very horrifying, which is just like, I don't know what to do with all this. But then what happens, and this is the part that just gets really messy. This is why this is so complicated to work with, is that a lot of the times he'll come to the attachment party late, meaning that he'll kind of wake up to his own attachment longings. Now that the counterfeit attachment of whatever he was turning toward, pornography, another person, work, whatever he was like turning all his attachment energy toward to feel like a good person, now he's like directing it toward this person who's now in crisis and pulling away or doesn't want to. A lot of times that can create this attachment terror or panic inside of like, well, you're important to me and I have all these attachment needs, and what about me and my feelings? And it can feel like it's way too late for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm guessing that he probably like experiences a really intense desire to ramp up the relational things, even if they're unhealthy, the patterns that engage her. So whatever it is he does, the overfunctioning, the underfunctioning, the minimizing, even any of those things to draw her out. So whether it's they're at a stalemate and there's just coldness and silence, or interaction but it's contentious or not really about anything that matters,
right?
Then, I mean, it's still just stuck. They're just stuck. They're just kind of like dancing, but no one's going anywhere.
Right. So I think when a recovering partner is watching the betrayed partner in that back and forth tension, and they have this belief that somehow there's nothing they can do, I really want them to know that they actually have a lot of power in being able to allow the betrayed partner to come toward them when things feel safe and they're taking that risk, but also allow them to move away when they feel dangerous. And that their ownership and their acknowledgement of the fact that there's going to be some movement like that can actually send a really safe signal to the betrayed partner in a way that basically says, you can have whatever you need. You're not crazy for needing to come close and then go away and then come close again. That back and forth can be really healthy for the relationship. And the recovering partner, I feel like, has such a huge influence in that and how they respond to that. If you're the recovering partner, you might believe there's nothing you can do, that the safest thing is to stay back, stay quiet, and avoid making it worse. But you have more power than you think. Your steady presence and the back and forth movements of your partner, sometimes coming close, sometimes needing distance, that can actually create safety. By letting your partner know they are not crazy for needing both closeness and space, you actually prove that you can be trusted again. So you can stop the cycle of avoidance and become a safe landing place, even when things are stormy.
You talk so much about how important attachment is in a solid relationship. But I mean, here in this situation, the couple is faced with very specific competing attachment needs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how how does this get addressed in a way that isn't going to come out like there is a clear winner and a clear loser?
Yeah. I mean, that's the challenge. You've done a good job of describing that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the clear winner always has to be safety, though.
Okay.
And both of them can be united in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So say more about that, because initially that sounds like that's just a betrayed partner concern. But
It should be the concern for both people.
For the sake of the relationship.
And the safety for the betrayed partner. Because the safety for the betrayed partner is good for the relationship.
Okay.
Right? Because
yes. Which is hard for her to understand for herself, to prioritize it for herself, and hard for him to understand because he might easily feel overshadowed or unseen or acknowledged. But
yeah, and this is how I would phrase that. The person who broke the trust already prioritized their own safety for a long time.
Okay.
They did. The secrets, the acting out, the competing attachments, all the things that were going on in the background, even though it wasn't healthy, was their way of trying to protect themselves and create their own safety and stability. And clearly it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Clearly it's not actual safety. And so when that all gets discovered, or there's this, then
they have a chance to like step into this relational world of like real safety. And it begins with her.
The betrayed partner. That's right. And what's interesting is that sets the foundation long-term for creating stability and connection for the couple, which will bring safety to both of them. But so if
there's no loser.
No.
Everybody wins.
Ultimately, like if it's done in the correct order, if you're trying to balance these different attachment energies, then absolutely there's going to be long-term success for the couple. And this is so much a big part of what I've tried to map out in Courage Together in my body of work, is really helping couples clean up the messiness of that and get all those pieces synced up and working well together, because it can feel like there's so many competing needs early on. And in a lot of ways there is that tension, but there's a way to work through it individually and then of course together.
As a couple, you're both caught in competing attachment needs. One of you fears getting too close, the other fears being left behind. It can feel like there has to be a winner and a loser. But the truth is that safety is the clear winner for both of you. When the betrayed partner's safety is prioritized, the relationship itself becomes more stable, which eventually creates safety for both of you. There's no loser when you build on that foundation. This is where long-term trust and connection can actually grow.
If you find yourself stuck in that push and pull, the betrayed partner pulling away for safety, the partner who broke the trust pulling back in shame, and then as a couple feeling caught in a cycle that feels impossible to break, we've created a free resource for you. It's called You, Me, and Us. And inside you'll find tools that help you create safety first and then begin moving toward each other in ways that actually strengthen the relationship. So whether you were the one that was hurt or the one you're trying to build trust, this guide will give you a starting place. You can download it completely free through the link in our show notes. We'll send it to you right away.
Before we sign off, we want to show you an example of couples doing the work of healing, learning, and growth. It doesn't matter where you are in your journey as a couple because the work never stops. It just changes.
Well, the example I have today is actually a really short one, but powerful. So I was talking with someone recently who is pretty new in the recovery process and trying to create a lot of safety by, I guess, what we call checking in with his wife in the evenings every day, just to say, hey, here's how the day went, whatever. And he says it's been really helpful for her just to know that this is on his mind. And I asked him, I said, so who initiates it most of the time? Like, are you the one bringing it up, or does she do it? He says, it's mostly me. And I said, okay, well, it really should be you leading the charge on this.
Okay. Yeah.
Great. He was like, yeah, okay, good point. So we're talking about that. And then he says, and then sometimes I'll forget. And I'm like, oh, you will. What happens then?
Yeah.
Right. And he said to me, he goes, but then the next morning I'll wake up and I'll say, hey, I forgot, or we both went to bed really tired, and I'd still like to check in with you. He'll do it in the morning.
Oh, nice. That's nice. That's valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that he shows it's on his mind, and
right.
Maybe not in the evening, but he's still carrying it.
Right.
That's like a big part of the mental load there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not about perfection. Mm-mm. It's not about just like, oh, you got to be 100%, and if you miss it, it's all over.
Yeah. No.
You could certainly tell yourself like, well, I missed it last night, I guess. It's like, no, it's about connection. It's about safety. And so I love that example of just the next morning. It's a very simple thing to say like, hey, that thing that I agreed to do, I didn't do it. And I didn't, we were both too tired or whatever the reasons, but I'm here now. Let's do it.
Yeah. Let's not let it disappear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I asked him, well, how does that go then? He says, it's fine. We just carry on.
Cool.
So anyway, that was a great example.
Yeah.
With something that seems very simple, but powerful.